Alright everyone, let's see if that is working. Okay, looks like it is streaming. I see audio coming out, so it looks like we're good to go. Hi, it's Ben here from Second Dynasty. It is Friday, which means it is time for our Friday update. And this week we're going to be looking at some more GridForge stuff. I'm excited to tell you guys about our huge big project. I know I might have mentioned it a little bit. There are still a few contracts to be signed. So I'll stick away from the nitty gritty for now. But we have this concept for a multi-month frontier-based adventure for many years. It's been a slight point of frustration for myself that we make all of these beautiful ships and terrain, but there's nothing specific that can be used to run it with. Like, of course, we make our Traveller stuff that works great with Traveller, but for our big ships, we don't really have a universe to play in, a rule set to play in. So we now need to sign a few things, but we have a rule set to play in. And we are going to put out a multi-part adventure that focuses on the sort of corporate dystopia, future dystopia that Soul Survivor presents. So we're kind of going back to that alien-esque, Ron Cobbish universe, and a part of that is going to be very much GridForge based. As many of you know, I've been working on Persephone, and that work will continue, although this week has been more focused on how we can take GridForge literally to the next level, and also experimenting with ways where we can provide more for you guys in the form of materials, or rather STL files, 3MF files that let you do a little bit of, focus more on printing and less on painting, so to speak. A part of it is due to the fact that we don't have much time until Persephone. We also have a contract work at the moment on the side that we've agreed since way back to work on. So some of our time is divided up with that. And we need to plan a little bit more carefully than normal. And sometimes it's just a case of, I have a concept, I have a way that I see a design, and I kind of step in and get messed up in it. So in any case, this is what I've got so far. I think, did I show off Space Karen last week? I'm not sure if I did or not. But this hallway has come a long way, and I kind of I think the inspiration will be very clear to most people. And now I'm kind of working on a doorway. Now this is a hybrid system for GridForge. These are not true walls, but these are designed in such a way that they could be split up. These little channels are actually for certain light kits, that just so they could fit in there. Like, I'm not saying use them, I'm just leaving the options open. And I'm going to iterate on these designs quite a bit. So our base adventure takes place on an alien world that's being exploited by a corporation. The atmosphere is quite primitive. It's not breathable for humans, although atmospheric scrubbers can pull the various different gases that we need to survive, mostly, oxygen and nitrogen, out of the atmosphere to, put in the interior of the base colony. However, the company hasn't deemed the rock that you're on to be worth terraforming. So most outside work has to be done in hostile environment suits. And it is primarily a mining colony that has reached the end of its 20-year life cycle. And things are dilapidated, things are going wrong and you're a part of one of the last crews on station. And things occur. So part 1 is going to be an outpost. I think you saw a preview of that in our in the header. John has actually made some very cool graphics, and I don't want to share too much here, but here is a preview of some of the things that are coming. So we have this rather blurry image of the new ATV that Albin's been working on, and we have also in the background the GridForge communications array, I guess, that we're going to feature for next month's GridForge tier as well. And there'll be a combination of different things. So this is a render all done in Blender, and I think some of these sort of barriers are going to be in some of the higher up tiers, and we'll have even more goodies. Now this is just a base version that can be used in the future adventure. I don't think we'll have the adventure out on the 1st of June. However, there will be a more developed version of this in the final adventure, the sort of GridForge Frontier we're planning on running in July. And that is going to have deep discounts for Tribes members. I think we're at like something like 40%, I think John was talking about. And it's not supposed to be super expensive anyway, so I think it'll be a case of, like, for a tribe member, probably the full kit and caboodle. Don't quote me on this, but we're looking at around, after discounts, $25 or something like that. So it's not meant to be something that is going to brutalize your wallets and upset your life partners too much, but will help us get through the summer and make sure we can do Persephone as well as possible, not to mention the fact that we get to prototype some new systems while we're doing this. So I'm very excited about that. So let's see what people are saying in the chat. So first of all, I want to say a g'day to, we've got Mon Capitan, we've got Solo Spirit, Jaren is here, Doug is here, Tamsin, Brian's here, Clive's here, Aerospace Smith is here, and of course Carbonhead. Go ahead and say hi, Albin.
Woo! Good morning, Vietnam. Hi, I mean.
Yeah, so I like that comment. Did you get a good seat, Mon Capitan? So it seems like people say, awesome, looking forward to what the rule set is. I will say it's not like one of the most... they've got a dedicated following. It's well known in the community, I think. But maybe not like a huge international brand in that sense. Hello to Marcus. Hello to Hazardrat. So yeah, awesome to see so many people in the chat. And hopefully this intrigues you guys. So Albin is currently working on this vehicle and is in the final stages of test printing, I think. Mm-hmm. He says, mm-hmm.
Should I send a picture to you?
You can send a picture via Discord, yeah. Maybe give a couple of different angles so it's not just so blurry.
Yeah.
So this is like we've been doing a lot of work, and actually I can share some of this. So these are some very basic spreadsheets where I've started actually not statting up, but listing out manufacturers, giving model numbers, product names, and a final fancy name to the vast majority of our vehicles. I've already done the ships in a sense, but not as detailed as this. So most things are starting to get a manufacturer side to it. We're classifying what kind of craft it is. We're linking to the actual products, trying to unify our brand a little bit more so that there's a little bit of lore behind the things that we're creating. And some of them will have a shared universe, others will be a little bit more separate. I don't think it really matters. The idea behind it is that you can drop it into your game, although what we're going to be working with, obviously, we're trying to build up something, and I guess it would have slightly more of a, I'd say alien RPG, sort of Hostiles type, you know, space horror, cosmic horror sort of vibe to it, following on from Soul Survivor, and obviously you guys know what drives me on that. So, for example, the Matador heavy lifter, which is a big forklift type vehicle, what we call the yellow vehicles, that manufacturer has now been assigned as Taurus, and so now officially it's the Taurus Matador heavy lifter. And the vehicle that you see in this image is the Taurus Highlander, I think we call it, ATV. And let's see, I think Carbon Head, that is to say Albin, has sent some pictures. So I think I can, let's see, where's my open in another window thing? There we go. Open in browser, move the browser over. So we've got a better view of it in Maya. And it's kind of got this crazy spotlight array at the moment, which is blocking the cockpit, but it's double wide compared to the previous vehicle. We're designing them so it feels like the same manufacturers made them, right? I think we've got a floating little clip there too, by the looks of things. It's all good. Let's see. I'll open a side view. Let's see. There we go. We've got our side view. And we've got our rear view. Which, yeah. I guess Albin just wanted you guys to know approximately how this is going to look. So, from what I understand, this is test printing at the moment, so it should be ready to go, no worries. Our kind of goals at the moment is to try and have the following month's Tribes releases ready to go like a week before, so that we have time for people to preview, get excited, and also for you to make an informed decision. If you're not one of the yearly subscribers, if you do subscribe to Tribes yearly, you can find the link down below. Like and subscribe while you're at it. Ooh. And it's basically 12 months for the price of 10, no matter which tier you pick. So up to you guys how you feel about that sort of thing. Our vehicles, we only charge a $5 every month. The GridForge tier is $2.50. You can combine them, or you can get the Friends of Benjamin, and where we always do. It's going to be a thing now officially that we do like a vehicle variant and perhaps some more GridForge content, as well as some back catalog material on the Friends of Benjamin tier. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I think most people will be excited too. So the cabin at the back is actually designed to be a sort of standalone unit in the colony, and this configuration houses, is it 6 or 8, 6 seated positions where our workers can sit?
Well, technically there could probably be more, because we use that wall mounting system, and it has like 4, 3, 4, 5.
Can you take one more picture of the interior, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. You give me a few minutes, seconds.
A few minutes?
No, I can't English at the moment.
You can't English at the moment. I can't at the best of times.
Okay.
So let's see. I'm just waiting for him to send one through.
Oh shit, I got more stuff than I bargained for in my selection. That's it.
It happens sometimes.
So there's a rough pick.
Alrighty. So let me open that up in the browser as well. So there we go. A rough idea of the interior. So you can have multiple seats. We might, you can... In, I think, Odyssey, we put out a bunch of different things that are compatible with these wall units. So you could have lockers there, you could have additional seating, you could have like fire extinguishers. There's a variety of things that you could have. As you can see, it's just a rough block out because he hasn't mirrored the wheels. But we're very close to being finished now. And of course, this light arm can actually move up and down.
Yay!
And of course, you can choose not to include it if you feel like it's overkill. So a nice double wide cockpit. I guess the people in the cockpit have to be in environmental suits anyway. Technically, they're on a world where there's atmosphere. It's just not breathable atmosphere. So there's probably not the level of pressurization that's required from a true, airlock. But yeah, that's where I think we are at with that. I'm going to turn that off. And I just wanted to show you guys some of the experiments we've been doing. So John convinced me yet again to buy another bloody printer. And we're going to have a look and actually test out this camera that he set up for me. So let's test that right now. Let's see, we want to go to not the close-up, although, hi guys, but the movable camera, which is actually fixed now. And it also has significant lag, as you can tell, because I'm doing the same thing with my fingers at the moment. And you can see they're not quite synced. In any case, we're going to bear with it. What you can see here is actually... Let's see, I think it feels like it's reversed too. I need to figure this thing out. Alright, so this is the way we want. So this is the same wall I just showed you guys in Maya. Only with multi-material and silk. So it has two different colors. And John has optimized this. Sorry, he also said that the focus is like down here somewhere. So I've got to be careful with that. So just with two tones, you can actually get a nice little effect. And this, in some ways, is a time-saving method for us. Because we're not going to have the time to paint up this whole colony thing. But by printing just in two colors... and let me just assemble some of these walls. This is an earlier prototype that we've since changed. Whoop. Almost lost it. Maybe I should be doing this on screen so you guys see something. It's very tight, but there we go. I think I've got another clip here somewhere, though I'm not sure where. Alright, this will do anyway. So, I think this was another test with like a matte texture instead. So this is like the metal is just a silk, which gives you that reflection that you want from the metal finishings. And this was a matte grey. We don't feel we've got enough contrast in this one, so we're going to make another print. But I'm just going to grab two that are pretty much the same, and we're going to connect them together like so. Maybe it's a little easier to see too. Let's see, there, and there. I'm just going to turn that a little. Give you guys a better impression of how it looks. Obviously here, when we've got a single light coming down, it is way more reflective than it would be if you had it set up so that you've got the flooring in. So again, this side, rightio. Let's try and get that angled up. So you can kind of see the effect. I haven't done any floor tiles yet. These aren't actually clipped in. I'm trying to think if I don't have... Alvin, would you mind grabbing me just a couple of supporting clips? They're all the way over there?
Yep.
Just don't take out the hammer.
No, exactly.
So John had actually exactly finished today hammer instructions in 3DO. So if you've got access to 3DO, which you should have if you're a triber, you can load that into your 3DO program. Wow, that is smooth. Look at the backside of that. That's so smooth and perfect. Ah, mirrored directions. I hate them. So good. Just that alone is like a great backing for a generic tile, right? And then we're just going to plug these in, and maybe I'll even just add a third one. I know we did test print some of these at 0.2 as well, with a 0.2 nozzle. There we go. Let's turn that one this way. No. That way. And we'll hook these together. So these are kind of like a hybrid wall between true sort of open lock and GridForge. You can see the tiles of GridForge. No worries. And I really like the way that these come out, and maybe I can even show you guys. Let's see, here's my little torch. Let's see if I can get it to work. Oh, I think this thing might need where's the red one? Come on. There we go. We've got this nice little red light, and you can kind of see how well it shines up from underneath. So we could create some really cool effects with this see-through tile. So I hope you guys can see this all right. I'm sorry I'm a little clumsy using all of this. Let me switch back to the chat and see what people are actually saying. Let's see. Not a flexible connection between cab and rear, unlike Matador. Now this is meant to be solid, and it's more. Think of it more as like a tray back where you can swap out the tray. So you could have like an extra cab, or you could have a cargo container, or something else that's on there. And then it's still, I believe it still has a trailer gimbal, right?
So it still has a what?
Like it can put a trailer on the back of it.
Yeah, so I tried to write it in the comments, but there was not enough text.
Right.
So basically, you will have a supported clip in tow bar on this version. That's the red piece you saw earlier, and the back shot.
Yeah, not sure if we've still got it here. The back shot, there we go. Yes.
Yeah, so essentially, that piece could be replaced by the hinge that's in the Matador, because that's also a supported clip in the same height. So yeah, it
There you
should
go.
be able to.
Yes, but no, or no, but yes.
Yes.
Which is a great possibility. Let's see. Does it have GridForge flooring? No, not inside that vehicle. Usually the vehicles don't leave enough room for that. Although it's not a bad idea for the future, just not something.
I was so close.
There you go. He was so close. Maybe the next time we'll try and do it. To be fair, in Albin's defense, I said, do not make anything mechanically new.
No.
Have you?
No.
He hasn't. Wow. I'm impressed. Good work.
Thank you.
Doug says, could get away with just using a breathing mask instead of a full environment suit. Yes, that is true. Mon Capitan says, John, you silver-tongued devil. I'm guessing that's in reference to the printer with the multi-material unit. So it is rather nice and convenient. And the reason why we designed these parts, although I modeled the parts and I can kind of show you guys some of the ideas behind it. I think this is the multi-part one at the moment. So John's just been painting the vertices in the program. But you could, for example, just fill in what you want in different colors, and if you like waste, that's all good. However, these have been optimized so that they print lying flat, so kind of like this, right, on their back. And in fact, I think I have, yes, I have an example here in Prusa Slicer. Although this isn't set up for multi-material here, but you can see the design and how it's built. And this is the refined version. So we haven't test printed this version. You might have noticed that the handrails are a little bit thicker and less detail-y than they currently are. We've tested different layer heights as well. I think we went as low as 0.12. But ultimately we're kind of stuck to a 0.4mm nozzle. And you get some good results. And but by just making it two colors, what you can actually do is ensure that when it's layering down one layer of one color, it actually does two layers at a time, and then it switches to the next color and does two layers of that one. So you're kind of going in this sort of like build up type print build, which means that I think we did 6 of these, and the total weight for the parts was something like 100 grams, and then the waste materials was, I think it started at 30 grams, and then John got it down to about half of that. I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to quote him on that one. But it's kind of exciting. I hadn't really thought about wastefulness in that way until we sort of started discussing it. Let's see. Mon Capitan says, I hope there will be an option for separate parts, solid versus clear, that we can slot together later for those who don't have a multi-material printer. I really love the multi-material direction. So, yeah, it's one of those things where you can choose the way you do it, but our initial thought is that we provide like a 3MF where you have these as separate items, even though technically it's probably easier just to paint straight on and save it out as a 3MF. We're not entirely sure of the final version of things. John was a little bit miffy with me because he built some templates for where the clip holes were meant to be. I put them in different places. This is, again, a hybrid, so it's not actually built into a GridForge base, although we have the templates now that we could do that. Just for me, it sort of didn't match the patterns that we otherwise had. And today I thought when we do get to modeling, I'm going to remodel a doorway. And I don't want all of this. I want it to feel new and different, and to also make sense. And this is kind of like what I imagine the exterior to look like. Although we'll be focusing more on different parts of the base colony, and then I think maybe we would add additional rooms as like stretch goals. So there's 3 locations in the adventure. There is the sort of sensor outpost area where you're out there to repair an array. Then there is the colony home base itself, and then there is the mine. And you kind of have to go from one area to the next, figure out what's going on, and ultimately figure out where to go. So let's see, the Highlander cockpit doesn't have the same dimensions as the Matador anymore, so a lot of things are updated. Yeah. Kathy said, I'm here, forgot it was Friday. No worries, Kathy, welcome aboard. Tobar Hawk from the, yeah, we've already been over that stuff. So, hi Will, who is checking in. And yeah, AMS is cool. I don't know how John is doing it 100%. Like, I've got the theory down pat, and dual color makes more sense to me, like waste wise. But I would like to do some beautiful pieces where we like could use semiotics or, you know, these warning strips, and not probably trying to restrict it more to like 4 colors max, so that we're not actually swapping out materials. But we'll see how it goes. In any case, just, yeah, John is the printer whisperer. I'd agree with that. How is it going, this expandable colony? It's going well, although this is most of the... I have to clarify that a lot of it's just going to be interior stuff. But we are planning to do exterior terrain. So we're looking at doing multi-level. I don't have some examples, but basically it's a repeatable pattern. And if you imagine the game XCOM and the way that it kind of deals with gradual level increases, we're going to start with half-inch and full-inch increments. The the sensor array, it's kind of hard to tell in this image, but maybe I have another one here. Let's see. So is that one clearer? Not really. I kind of feel like, here we go. Yeah, this one is like the actual product itself. So it's hard to tell here, but this is a 3x3 open, GridForge base. And then we have these end caps, which are like concrete slabs. And yeah, all of this is, you can see the supported clips in there. So even the top here is a stackable like truss and a custom version of one of our dishes. So a fairly simple thing, but introducing some new concepts. And we will continue on with this. So it's kind of like going to be like, this is the $2.50 Tribes version of this piece of the scenario. So you have some basic terrain. Obviously, this will print quicker as well. And then Albin did a version where the slab itself is raised one story and it has like some railings around the edge and a little bit more detail, sort of concrete slabs. So we're going to have some variations that you would get in the GridForge Frontier, for example. So if you don't want to pledge for that, you can get by using the scenario with this extra terrain, or you can just use Theory of the Mind, whatever you like. And we also plan to, for example, not just use our own miniatures, but recommend, for example, hey, in this scenario, you could maybe suggest these miniatures from this creator that we'd like or whatnot. So I don't want to drop too many hints, but the kind of brand that we might be working with is one where they're a little bit more flexible about the models. So I think people in the know can already guess. And that was not the big one that we were talking about. That's kind of on pause for now. The end cap is gold. I already see a lot of potential only in that concrete border. Yeah. And the cool thing is, like, it looks pretty... Wait, don't we have a printout of that here somewhere?
I think so.
John's had one. I may as well be showing that off.
So that's different end caps. This is a terrain piece.
Yeah.
So that's not quite it. I'm not sure. Is
But-
it that one or it doesn't look like it?
Yeah, no, these look like these are some early experiments.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Where I can see that's out of focus a little. So we've got some sort of rocky terrain there in these end pieces. Like, this is where he was thinking more like a sandstone slab, and I was just like, I think they're cutting with lasers or something. So yeah, we can move this out into the middle. I guess you guys are seeing a drop-down view of things. We've got these barriers. The focus is slightly annoying because, like, I can't change it easily. But you can see there's some nice detail. I don't think that's going to pick it up. I might see if I can combine my camera, close-up camera, and show off some of this detail. Hopefully we can get to focus on something else other than my hair. I guess not. There we go. So you can see some of the cool details. Not bad for FDM, I think. Really some nice detail there. And then the other piece I had here. So we'll probably be recycling this, but you can kind of see like the rocky materials. Came out alright for FDM. Not too bad, huh? Alright, let me switch away, and then I guess I can... It's a bit wobbly, but we have the platform here. Whoop. So just a simple little kit. Very nice. I do believe this can rotate. Yes, it can. And of course, like, oh, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. So, John didn't actually use the tight bases. This is like a 0, which is why it was so wobbly. Can see this new variant of like a power supply, and a close up of the truss, and you can see there the base, and it just has these little wedges in the corner that fit nicely under the frame, and I can show you some more of that in Maya as well, I think. So I'm going to switch back to chat, and I'm going to switch back to Maya. Let's see. Where did the chat go? There it is. Okay. Sweet. That's a good sign. May I ask what that hole in the upper part is used for? I'm not sure, but I imagine it's so that you could put like a maybe a gun in there or something. So I'd have to ask John. Maybe it's about concrete molds or something.
Yeah, I think it's for posts, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, so you can fit a post in there.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes
traffic,
sense. Like you could put a flag or something, or a traffic sign. Yeah. And then yeah, they can stack on top of each other as well. So yeah, sorry, I got distracted, guys. So this is kind of like the corridor that will be standard for linking different areas. I think we would print with like different colors to kind of give some vibrance to these tiles.
That looks so cool.
I haven't test printed this wider version, but the smaller version of these floor tiles has come out really well. Wait, that looks slightly off. Not sure why. These look complete. These do not. That's weird. I think I've just duplicated the wrong version, but you can see here that there's more squares hidden in there. Oh, is the problem that they're not combined? Ah. Oh well, I'll have to change that later. We're not going to bother with that right now. But yeah, I like the idea of having the possibility for multi-levels. I really want to explore that. And as John said, poll. How did you find out from John? John's not here. Dave's not here, man. So the idea would be that one of the specialty rooms would be behind this door. And obviously, I'm kind of looking at Hadley's Hope for inspiration quite strongly there. We've got some of the patterns that are familiar from 80s sci-fi. And yeah, I think what I want to do now is just build up another door frame. And I want to reuse this, but without some of the detail that's going into it. So a part of this is just going to be tracing, I think, the frame that I want. And I'm not entirely sure if... Let's duplicate it to start with and then just get rid of what we don't want. So this is not OpenLock. It's compatible with OpenLock. So we're maintaining backwards compatibility. But you'll get more out of it with GridForge. And I think we're just going to get rid of all of these edges here as well. So we may as well take all of this out. Just cleaning this up until we're just left with a frame. And then I'll decide whether or not I want to keep some of these elements. I think we won't need the pressure gauge. This is kind of like airlock controls here. We probably don't need a fire extinguisher and med kit on every single door the way that these are set up. But we could leave the intercom, we could leave the buttons, and then blank out some of this area. So I don't know that we're going to use the same mechanism to open and close the door. But for now, let's just get rid of some of these patterns. Just enough so that we can easily delete around the edges, so to speak. So if I select most of these, hopefully, when I just increase my selection size, we can get rid of the vast majority of polygons that are bothering me. Like so. And just delete the stuff down the bottom there. The idea being that we're left with just the frame on the inside there to give us, because one of the things we do need to do is maintain compatibility with our existing products. And so a part of that would be ensuring that the doors are the same size. Now, this is an airlock door, so maybe we don't need this size. I'm going to have to look it up later and see what is most appropriate for this situation. But to start with, we can do a sort of thicker blast door, I suppose. Or at least refine this a little. I don't think we're going to get this done today. The main thing is that we're streaming, that you guys are getting somewhat of an update. Hopefully we're building a little bit of excitement. And starting next week, we're looking to push this a bit more than we have been. And some people might wonder why the work has been paused on Persephone. And it's more a case of, with Albin working on a film, and the summer holidays coming up very quick. This kind of makes more sense because it will mean we can actually take some summer leave rather than work ourselves silly and not come back refreshed. And always the plan was to have Persephone out like September earliest, if not October. I don't think that's going to change too much. I think October is probably still the likely window for Persephone. But Persephone, I desperately want to get right. I really want to work with Mick to make sure that we have, one of those beautiful, awesome pitch films that just gets a little bit more traction. But it's also, for me, it's just the dream of creating something really cool and nostalgic, which is what our, I guess, brand is all about. Let's see. Are you talking about the Kickstarter or the actual files in September, October? The Kickstarter. Yeah, the Kickstarter has not got a defined date, but a ship of Persephone's size takes a long time to do. It is bigger than Beowulf. Beowulf took 9 months. Persephone will not take 9 months. Persephone will not take 9 months. Persephone will not take 9 months. And it won't, for the simple reason that, when we're working on traveller ships, we're kind of working within the constraints of what has come before. I think actually Mongoose was easier to work with than Classic Traveller in some ways because it just... Mongoose is a little bit more flexible in regards to their style and adding new content. Whereas I think for the Classic, we were trying to fit to a certain design aesthetic from a particular period. So for example, when I worked on the Raven, that was a lot more freeing because I wasn't bound to the exact design language that had been established. And a part of it is just like I have more room to apply my own aesthetic taste. And one of the reasons why Persephone is not going to take anywhere near as long is simply because Typhon and Erebus were designed to give us some of the base elements that we would need for that much larger ship. And it just... there's a lot of technical stuff to test out as well before we get too deep into it. So this feels like a great opportunity to expand GridForge, expand the world that Persephone is going to live in, and we really want to see how well the idea of adding a little bit of play to our Tribes releases is received. And even though, we have a specific game engine in mind, I think it'll be pretty flexible. You could just dump it into whichever game you kind of want, and the scenarios themselves just use the stats and rules from whatever you're playing. Did you have more to show there, John?
No.
Did we do one of these in green?
No.
Okay. What did you put on my desk?
Your tool. I accidentally moved it.
Oh, just that?
No, this one.
Okay. Right, sorry, it was distracting. I thought there was more stuff to show.
I can show the so far work in progress print of the Highlander if you want.
Alright, bring it over. Let's see, let's switch this back to the other camera. There we go. So it's pretty far along, as you can see. Looking very neat, and I'm not sure how much I dare lift this thing because I'm not familiar with it.
Bit sensitive.
Yeah, so maybe if I just take the lid off and hold it from underneath. I can't get it in focus that much because the focus is down low. This lag and delay is really bothering me as well. You can kind of see some of the seats in there, individual seats. I need to bring it forward, not back. And yeah, the same sort of cool wheels that can rotate. I guess that's off camera there, but you can see. So it's an all-wheel drive. Got the cockpit in there. Sorry, this is upside down now. Upside down, Miss Pat. Oh man, this is so frustrating. I can't get it to work. And we're out of focus as well. Sorry guys, I'm hopeless at this. But you can kind of see the form and some of the details. We're really taking advantage of all of the recent developments of the last few months. So you can actually see most of June's package, I guess you could say, for tribes on my desk, even if it's maybe not the brightest right now. Maybe we can lighten it up just a tad with this warm glow. Kind of giving a sepia feel
Yeah.
to the screen.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where we're at with that. Let's see what the chat is saying again. So, let's see. Are you talking about, here we go, 10 months, exclamation mark. Yeah, it's not going to take that long. Perfect timing for my plastic delivery. I estimate more or less 15 to 17 kilos at 32 mil. Ooh, yeah, I forgot you're doing that.
32 mil. Oh shit.
So, yeah, at the moment, I think it's about 2 feet wide. It's in the next room.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of it built out, but yeah,
You want
it's
me to bring
big.
it?
No. I don't want you to touch it right now. Anyway, I love it that Will Richards just posts pinners randomly. I guess we were talking about the shovel stuff.
Yeah, probably.
And yeah, it's a 6x6 wheel vehicle. Sorry, did you want that back?
I was thinking that maybe it's occupying space for you. So I thought.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Oh.
I would have been fine, but that was very thoughtful.
Yeah.
You couldn't enter the Aeronautic Academy. One of the trials was performing actions on the mirror. Yeah, no. I could not do that. I don't think. I'm too uncoordinated. You can get used to it. I guess it's like a flight simulator, isn't it? So, let's see. I want to make sure, yeah, I'm streaming the right thing. Maybe I set up too much. Radio. Hope everyone's having a lovely Friday. We had this crazy weather change. It went from 26 degrees, when was it, 2 days ago, to 4 degrees the next day. Some parts are getting snow, fortunately not us, but this is what they call the false spring and the false summer.
Apparently, it's even.
We had a really nice week, maybe 10 days. Everyone was getting excited for holidays. And yeah, now, although fortunately next week we do have a day off. Because it's time for Flying Jesus Day. Yeah, Ascension Day in Swedish literally basically ends up saying Flying Jesus Day, which is great. Whilst secular now, it's still a public holiday. I think I'll probably be working anyway. I don't know yet, but we'll find our way to do at least one stream next week at some point. So never fear, oh dedicated followers of our channel, such as it is. Alrighty, that's getting there. That really doesn't look like it's on the same level, does it? Oh, okay. There's a second line in there. Right, we don't need to worry about that. Let's just extrude these out. I'm not even sure what we actually need to keep here. I just want to see what a flat wall looks like to sort of consider how I might modify this. So the other thing we should probably do is just build that out so that when we extrude across, it's going to make more sense. Alright, let's do the same thing on the other side. Let's see. Australia only has 2 seasons, bloody hot and bloody cold. I don't know. Even the bloody cold, look, if we're being honest, at least Wollongong where I grew up, yes, it gets bloody cold, and a part of that is just the fact that the houses aren't built the way they are in Europe, and the fact that a big part of it is the humidity, because we have quite high humidity on the coast, and things get very dirty because of the steelworks, so very dusty. But yeah, just here you've got the triple pane windows. You've got the central heating. There you've got a little gas heater if you're lucky, or you know, electric blanket. So, but you know, it'll only get down to about 5. But if you ask me, 5 with pretty high humidity is way worse than -5, where it just feels dry. And it's a different kind of cold that's much more manageable, if you ask me. So I'd much prefer a winter here, where it's colder than that. But then the other thing that's wacky in Australia is, yeah, it's 5 overnight, and then it can be like 25 in the daytime. So just bring a jacket for the evening. So I mean, I get frustrated here when it's like autumn and spring, where you've got the jacket on, jacket off, jacket on, jacket off. But that's kind of like what winter is in Australia. Obviously, it can be colder than that, depending on if there's rain or not. But I was just working out the other day that technically now I'm more a Swede than an Aussie.
Woo!
Albin's excited. So it's looking a little bit more bare at the moment. The semiotics need to change, obviously. We'll be keeping those. No plans to implement hexagonal shaped ones, if anyone knows what that's in reference to. Let's see. Brian says, we experienced that last week. Unseasonably hot and humid for a few days, then switched to cold, windy and rainy on a Sunday. Was at a convention, walked in wearing a t-shirt in the morning, left in the afternoon shivering. Yeah, been to those things. So some of you might be wondering, what's with these little stubby things? And the answer is, I guess I should probably think about the basis of these two, actually, now that I think about it. They should have a similar female connection there. Maybe that's better to focus on in this last 10 minutes. But if we take the frames here and we copy one, let's change our grid to, say, 8. If we then bring this up to the next level and move it over to where the wall is, you'll see that these align perfectly, so that you can just drop down the next level on top. So there, for sort of like stacking purposes, even though technically now we've only got a 2x4 tile underneath there, and then these are wall parts. I think we will try and make yeah, let's make some indentation. So I'm going to go grab, this is my master file here. So what we need to do is change this one. So I'm going to start by grabbing this and then isolating this. We're going to drop this down all the way to the bottom. There we go. So that is connected to that. So we need to know where our cavities are at the moment. And perfectly, it doesn't interfere with the clips, because John is good like that and thinks of such things. So let's just grab these, and actually I think if I do it can't be this simple, but if I do a 0.4 is too much, 0.1 actually is all we need. It should have gone up in all directions except for down here at the bottom. So if I now just drop these edges down again, whoops, I guess it's hard for you guys to see this, sorry about that. This is a part of the mental challenge of working in 3D sometimes, is just having to visualize things with as simple as wireframes. But if I invert this and delete it, I should have the very basics for what we're going to cut out. And you see there, slightly wrong here with the width. So I'm just going to do a manual. I can see this side is correct, and sometimes it gives you an incorrect result just based on the odd shape of things. So I'm just going to pull that out as well. So you can see it's just a tiny little change. And then what we're going to do is just cut out this base. And hopefully all we need to do is invert this. Let's see, let's go for an inversion. I think I've got my shortcut there. it won't look black anymore. I guess it's pretty dark anyway for you guys. Let's turn our wireframe on, and we combine these items. We want to make sure it has the right pivot point here. I don't have any names at the moment, so we're good to go. And then I just need to cut out this frame edge. And then we're going to just recreate some polygons to seal this all in. So here we go. Along here. Along here. How did we do that? That way, this way, and then we should be able to just keep covering this all. Sorry, I've still got a bit of a cough I'm trying to get rid of. I'm trying not to cough on stream, but it can be a bit of a challenge. So now we have the indentations, and this should print perfectly fine. Give us some good tolerances, even though this prints on the back there. That's sufficient enough of an overhang, it shouldn't cause any issues. And then ultimately the way to test this is to just grab a completed version. So let's grab one of these off the wall. We drag it down to the next level, and then if we just drag it across and take this part that's above it, and we just have a see-through looky, we should see that that fits perfectly inside those cavities, which it does. So yay for that. That should be enough of a tolerance with 0.1, although we might test print it out and see if we maybe need to go to 0.2, because it really is only meant to sit loosely. But I think the final thing to do is to export this. So I'm just going to go into my exports. This would be, let's see, I need to see what I named things. These are all temporary names. So this is the part, and it is B. Let's go back to Maya, select V3B, export selection, and then we're going to export all three of these parts together as our combined. So we should be seeing, if we refresh this, reload from disk, we see that the bottom has these indentations now. And this is the correct print orientation. If we test printing, we see here that the slice is not having any issues whatsoever, bridging those gaps. I'm not too worried about that. That's a very short bridge. We haven't had any trouble with these ones, so I think we're good to go. I just need to notify John that the mesh has changed yet again.
What joy.
So, yes, but did you notice the manifold now? John,
Oh, what's manifold?
my models.
Oh, well, hot dog.
Yes, hot dog. He seems to have pancakes.
I've made pankorka. Would you like to see them?
What?
Here.
Oh, you were trying to say pancakes. Pancake.
That's what I said.
It is not what you said.
Take a look, everybody.
You wanted to put them on the close-up camera?
Nope, I'm good.
Ah,
Bye now.
all right. Well, guys, it seems like a bit of a note to wrap things up on. We've got a little bit of progress on our door. We know approximately where we want it to be. Let's turn off some of these bits and bobs. You can see it in scale to a character.
What time is it?
There we go. So yeah, Space Karen is really not looking forward to opening this door by the looks of things. Anyway, she probably needs longer nails. Anyway, guys, that's not the kind of thing that turns up on a print. We do have additional poses for her coming very soon. We'll probably show them off next week, so come back and join us then. Thank you for joining me, and we will see you again very soon. Stay tuned. Bye, guys.
Bye.